Hi everyone, my name is Armina Bazikyan and I'm a wills and trusts attorney here in Los Angeles. I want to answer a question that I get asked frequently, and that is what happens to your home and your properties and all of your assets when you pass away. And this is a very important question here in California. According to California law, if an individual has assets in their name at their death, those assets will have to funnel through the probate system before their loved ones actually inherit the assets. And the probate system is actually a court process in the Superior Court of the state where the assets are going to be supervised and administered by the judge before they're actually allowed to be transferred to the loved ones. Now, this is an expensive process here in California because the probate laws actually will dictate how much the attorney fees are going to be. So for example, if an individual has a home worth about $600,000, the attorney's fees alone are going to run $15,000. So it's an expensive process. And in addition to that, we have bond fees, there's publication and court filing fees. So for an estate worth about $600,000, you're looking at $15,000 to $20,000 in just expenses alone before that home can actually be transferred to the loved ones. So it's an expensive process nonetheless, but it's also a very lengthy process. It takes anywhere from 9 months to a year and a half and maybe 2 years just to probate an estate from start to finish, a very simple estate. And it's also a very public process. So because it's going through the California court system, everyone will be able to access that system and know exactly what the person had and what not. So the nosy people in the person's lives will be able to actually access that information. So the probate process is not a very desirable one. We very often would prefer for the individual's estate to be administered privately rather than going through this court process. So for example, let's say that David owns a home and he owns a business and he has 2 children. At his death, if he has done no planning at all, he doesn't have a will, he doesn't have a trust, what's going to end up happening is David's assets, let's say he dies and his son takes his assets to the probate court system and opens up a probate proceeding. Well, before his son and his daughter, let's say, actually inherit these assets, the court has to supervise and administer these assets from start to finish. So it's going to take about a year and a half, let's say at the least it'll take a year to 2 years before his children can actually transfer the property and the business into their personal names. So it's a very lengthy process and it's going to be very expensive, as I mentioned earlier. So let's say the house is worth $600,000 with a $500,000 mortgage on it, and then he also has a corporation or a business that he's running. Before the children can actually inherit this asset, the court has to administer it, and the court does not care that he has a mortgage. Unfortunately, the probate system doesn't take into consideration the liability, so they will value the cost of the probate on the entire value of the estate, not the value minus the mortgage. So it'll be based on the 600 number, not the equity that he has in the home. So it's expensive and it's public, so people in his life that want to know what David had, how much it was worth, can just simply access the information through the probate court system. So for example, he didn't do anything in place, his children would be the beneficiaries and they would inherit the asset. Let's step up for a minute and do another example. Let's say David owned a home that belonged to his parents and it was just in his name. At David's death, that property will automatically, let's say he's married, will automatically go to his wife. And so if David, for example, intended for that home to go to his parents or his siblings and not his wife, according to the statutory framework, according to what the law says, then David should have done an estate plan. He should have put a comprehensive estate plan in place. Otherwise, the California laws will actually dictate where it goes. We'll tell everyone who gets it. So if you'd like to discuss your situation in more detail, feel free to call our office and schedule a free consultation.